Let's get you set for a new college football weekend. It is week number 10, the first Saturday in November, in a game of the year 4 potential on Saturday afternoon, noon Eastern time kick in State College, Pennsylvania. It's number 3 Penn State. It's number 4 Ohio State. The Buckeyes, a 3.5-point favorite in Happy Valley. Total has worked its way down by a point, 45 and a hook. Zeno, let's start with narrative, because of course narrative is going to factor into this handicap, the outcome, and the reaction in a large way. Ryan Day is 2-6 against AP top 5 teams, and his time at the helm of this Ohio State football program. Not good enough. James Franklin is 1-9 against Ohio State during his decade at Penn State, now year number 11, and 3-17 outright against AP top 10 foes. Also, not good enough. So for which coach and program does the narrative sadly continue by the end of Saturday afternoon?
I mean, I don't like the way Ohio State is playing right now. That said, Penn State, if Braden Locke doesn't throw that pick six, I don't know that Penn State wins that game last week. I mean, that was just a gut punch, kick in the groin kind of, for Wisconsin backers last week, me being one of them, of course. Otherwise, I still wouldn't be upset about it. But, I got to give the nod here to Penn State just a little bit, especially with a 3.5. Like, this feels like a field goal game all around. Like, there's nothing about this that doesn't scream it's going to be tight. Ryan Day has always sort of choked in these big moments, particularly on the road. If this game was at the Horseshoe, it would be a completely different conversation. But, you get a 12 o'clock kick, which favors Penn State, I think, more than anything, being in their home turf. And Drew Allard's been really good. He's taking care of the football. I know he was banged up last week. I assume, given this number is where it is, that he's playing again this week. And after 2 tough road wins, they come back home in a favorable spot. And all of a sudden, the Ohio State offense is starting to look a little bit human. Like, when you look at what happened last week at home against Nebraska, is it the wake-up call that the Buckeyes needed to say, hey, we need to play better? Or is it the reality of, guess what, you're finally playing a team that, you're finally starting to play teams that are of the same ilk of you? No disrespect to Iowa, but on the road, they're not the same team. And Michigan State's offense is not very good, a.k.a. bad, a.k.a. they don't score a ton. So the last 2 weeks and this week will tell us really what Ohio State is. And I think we find out that Penn State here, even if they get a loss here, it'll be one of those that the committee will look at favorably upon, because they're going to make life hell for 3 hours for Ohio State on Saturday.
Positives for Penn State: they don't have to go to the airport, which has a short tarmac out there. They didn't have to do that at all. And also negative, though, I disagree on this. I think if this game was a night game and a whiteout game, Ohio State, for me, would be in much more trouble. But let's get to another institution that's in trouble with the quarterback position. That's the Michigan Wolverines taking on Oregon. The opening line, the look ahead, was 10.5 as a favorite towards Oregon, Mark. Now we're seeing 14.5. So over 2 touchdowns and a total of 45.5. Ooh, Michigan, can they score in this game is the question mark.
Well, you just answered it right there. And you guys know I've said this often. You know how I cut games in half. I talked about it last week with Illinois, that if they couldn't stay within the first half number, they weren't staying within the game. And that's exactly the same case here, because this is not an offense that is built to play catch-up. They can't be down by 17 at half and expect to get back-to-back scores, and bring this thing right back together while their defense holds it up against a really good offense. Like, that's just not a game script that's favorable. The only way Michigan can stay within this number is to keep this within 7 points in the first half, and that's the best chance that they have. Oregon looks like a machine right now. I mean, they are just really, really good on both sides of the ball, and Michigan's offense doesn't scare anybody. So at this point in time, there's only one play to take. I would look at Oregon and lay the 7.5 in the first half, and guess what? If they ain't covering then, the possibility is still there that they could pull away late, but it would have to take some level of mistake by Michigan, an interception or a short field or something like that gives Oregon a decided advantage. But I wouldn't play Michigan here. I'd lay the 7.5 with Oregon in the first half or pass.
I would go over 45.5. Michigan over in 5 of 6 games this year against Power 4 competition. In their 3 games as a dog, almost unheard of. This will be their 3rd game in the Big House as an underdog on Saturday. They've allowed at least 24 total points. And Oregon, over in all 3 games, they have laid less than 3 touchdowns. This is 2 touchdowns and the hook, but at least less than 3. Zeno, not many undefeated teams left in college football entering the month of November. Army, however, though, is certainly that Commander-in-Chief's trophy and that positioning very much at stake because Air Force lost to Navy and got routed. Now it's Army's time to take on the Falcons. Army, a hefty favorite. Can the Black Knights win and cover by more than 3 touchdowns?
I mean, it is a sad state of affairs when the best football team in New York is the Army Black Knights. Sorry, Jets and Giants.
Sad.
No, it's not sad, but I mean, it's, listen, I'm happy about the whole thing. I'm not going to lie. Now, that said, I will be open with the audience here and tell everybody I feel like I already made a mistake. I got very giddy earlier in the week when this line came out, and particularly the first half line came out. Now, this thing opened up around 23-24. It's come down. Why? Because Army being that big of a favorite is sort of ludicrous. Go back to the Air Force versus Navy game. I played Navy first half in that game, -6.5. They easily covered. Why? Because Air Force is one of the lowest scoring teams in the first half in the country, averaging 7.8 points in the first half. Army at home this year, averaging nearly 29 points per game in the first half at home this year. I laid 13.5 with Army, which I feel incredibly gross and disgusting about because there's a lot of ways this could go wrong. It has to follow the game script that has followed for Army the entire year, which is they score at least 21 and they don't allow more than 7, which an Air Force team doesn't score a whole lot more than 7 in the first half here. I would not play Army to cover the entire game. There's a good chance they can do it, but again, that requires them to be up 24-3 at half, and they continue to roll in the second half.
Yeah, Zeno, it's really interesting. This Air Force team, not the Air Force team in the last few years. In fact, the Falcons are the only team in the country that has failed to cover a number this year, 0-7 ATS. Army, meanwhile, has covered in 6 of their 7 wins, all of them this season. More around college football next. Now, Mark Zeno becomes the mouth in the South. He has been here bemoaning his Yankees, and rightfully so. And then we had him preview everything else not in the SEC for Saturday in week number 10 of this college football season. But the mouth in the South is here, and he is ready for his SEC picks. The world's largest outdoor cocktail party is in Jacksonville on Saturday between number 2 Georgia and Florida. One of the great rivalries in this sport, more than 100 meetings between these two. UGA favored by 16.5. Florida showed a little bit of something, though, Zeno, after starting off this year a little bit more peculiar. Can the Gators keep this game within the number in Jacksonville on Saturday?
Doesn't feel like it. Look, outside of the COVID year where Florida is able to win one, Kirby Smart has won 6 of these. So he's won 6 of the last 7. And he's done so in really convincing fashion, with the exception of 2019, which was that was Jake Fromm's year. Every single one of these wins has been by at least 2 scores, 2 touchdowns, that is. So, it's really tough for me to believe that this is a Florida team that can hang with Georgia. This is a fatter number than we're used to seeing. That is for sure. So there is some pause for concern as far as laying a number this big, especially with Florida, on triple revenge here, right? Like they need to win one against Billy Napier might be able to save his job by winning this game alone. He's 14-6-1 ATS as a conference underdog. Georgia 4-12 ATS is a favorite of 7 or more when coming off 3 straight wins. The number tends to get a little bit of inflated for the Bulldogs at this point in time. Could it be a little bit of a letdown spot after the big win that Georgia had last time out? Yeah, maybe. But the bye hopefully should neutralize some of that. And I don't think Kirby's going to take his foot off the gas pedal here. And that's the other component to this thing, guys. Come on. Kirby played at Georgia. He knows what this game means. He doesn't take it lightly. There is no softening on Florida. There is no like, hey guys, let's pull up here. He'll put his foot on the gas pedal for as long and as hard as he can in 4 quarters, and that leads me to believe that Georgia's probably the right side.
Let's keep it in the SEC there. Kentucky traveling to take on number 7 Tennessee. Line around 17 at this point right now. The bottom's falling out on Kentucky in the SEC, particularly. I believe it was 2 games ago, getting 40-plus points dropped on them. Can Tennessee cover that 16.5 to 17 points in this game this weekend?
I mean, how much does Kentucky have, like, you know, the sort of chutzpah and the self-respect to not get rolled up on again for a third straight week? I genuinely don't know the answer to that. They sort of look like they've quit. You know, the big thing here for Tennessee is, like, you know, the offense still, since the, you know, Kent State game where they scored 71 and we all thought they were the best team in the world, 25, 14, 23 in OT, and 24. This is a really good defense still. And I would like to think that Mark Stoops and the Kentucky crew are going to sit here and go, what, we might lose this game, but we're not going to get beaten like that. So I know it's Neyland Stadium. I know it's really tough for them to win, or you know, for Kentucky to win this game on the road. But, you know, this number just feels a little bit too large for my taste.
7th SEC game already for the Cats. They've been favored in 4. They've lost all 4 of those outright in their 2 as an underdog. The huge upset in Oxford against Ole Miss in a tight 1-point game against Georgia. Tennessee, who could not cover a number to start this year, had the best cover percentage in the country, now is not covered in their last 2 as the favored side, both laying 2 touchdowns under in 4 straight for the Vols. To your points, 191 points in the first 3 games of this year in total, 25 or less in their last 4. Let's go around the SEC. Expected to be a close one, Zeno, in Columbia on Saturday. South Carolina and A&M. Texas A&M made a statement on Saturday with Marcel Reed coming back to beat LSU. Feels a little bit fishy and trappy. Can A&M avoid the upset?
I mean, I think South Carolina is going to end up being the sharp square dog this weekend. I mean, everybody's jumping on South Carolina. The number screams it, right? Like, why is the 10th team in the country only laying less than a field goal to a South Carolina team that at times this year has looked really bad? You know, it seems like it, you know, and for me, it's one of those things where I would kind of wait on this thing and see where the number goes on Saturday. But I think South Carolina is the sharp square dog here, and A&M probably will end up winning this one handily.
Yeah, it feels like that look as well, Zeno. A very peculiar number. Is it correct? We shall see. We thank you, Mark Zeno. We thank you for expressing your anger at the Yankees. Now go relax, my friend. Hour 3 up next.